Hey everyone, and welcome to Kelsey's Corner. I am so stoked about the guests this week. We have Miss Courtney Rioux. First, I'd like to tell you a little bit about what's happening. I've been teaching some online tap classes. You can check them out on my social media pages. I've been doing classes and they're virtual, so anyone from anywhere can take them. And I've been taking classes myself at different festivals and online classes. I've been definitely staying busy during this quarantine, and I started a new puzzle, so that's pretty exciting. I also had my first outing to go get ice cream. As many of you know, I love ice cream, and I got to go on a little drive to go get some ice cream, so that was pretty exciting. A highlight of my week. But yeah, let's get into it. So we have Miss Courtney. As an actor, you may have recently seen Courtney on Chicago Med, which is one of my favorite shows, or heard her voice in a Jimmy Dean commercial. But Courtney is much more than an actor, and she wants you to know that you're more than your job, your bank account, and your social media followers. She shares what she learns from her own growth and transformation with humor and insight to inspire you to create a life of joy, freedom, and abundance. I met Courtney in Phoenix, Arizona at just west of Broadway. Shout out to Jennifer Miller. It was such a great experience getting to take classes from her and now getting to interview her. And so, yeah, without further ado, I'd like to welcome Miss Courtney Rioux. Hey, Courtney.
Hey Kelsey.
How's it going?
Good, how are you?
I'm good.
As good as we can be right now, right?
Right? It's crazy out there.
I know.
So, do you want to tell a little bit about yourself before we get started here?
Sure. I live in Chicago. I am an actor and a life coach, and I'm currently on Chicago Med. Well, not currently because of the pandemic, but but when we get to go back and film, hopefully I'll still be on the show. And I do voiceover work. I teach acting and voiceover to kids and teens and adults. I currently have some voiceover classes virtually going on right now through the Green Room in Chicago, but anybody can take them because it's virtual. So it's fun. I get to see kids from like Idaho and kids that I've worked with through just west of Broadway, which is how we met, and that's been really fun. What else about me? I'm married. I have a cat. I love to travel. All that stuff.
Awesome. So, how did you get started in this business?
I got started in sixth grade is when I really found, in fifth grade, I found dance. And then in sixth grade, I found theater and singing. And I used to do it just, not professionally, just through the school. And then I went to college for it. So I got a major in theater acting. And then immediately out of college, started working in musical theater, but then decided that that schedule wasn't right for me. And so I really got into doing like film, TV, commercial, and voiceover because one, the money is better, and two, the schedule is better for my lifestyle.
When you started doing, going into college for it and everything, who was your biggest inspiration for getting into it?
Wow, good question. My biggest inspiration. Well, just originally my original inspiration is my sibling Mikey. Mikey started dancing when they were, I guess if I was in fifth grade, they were in eighth grade. So I was really shy, and I didn't want to start dance lessons because I didn't want anyone watching me on the monitor. But when I saw my siblings recital a year later, I turned to my mom and I was like, I want to do that. And so they were a big inspiration to me and always have been artistically. Um, and then just like when I chose a school, I chose Illinois State University. I'd wanted to go to New York, but my mom was like, "Well, just stay here in Illinois for a couple years and then you can go to New York." And then I never did, of course, because I was doing well at school and loved my friends. And but the reason I chose Illinois State was because of the Steppenwolf Ensemble, and I knew that they had started at Illinois State. They had gone there, and then they went and started their own theater company. So they were a big inspiration to me, even though I was mostly doing musical theater. And, I haven't ever worked at Steppenwolf, but they were my original inspiration.
So you grew up in Chicago?
Hmm. Yeah, I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago, so St. Charles, Illinois. And my parents still live there, and I still live now in the city of Chicago. And I really like it because there's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of TV now here, not as much as LA or even New York, but it's growing. And I can be close to my family, and I love my friends, and I have a really big condo that we just bought that I'm so excited about and can afford that living in Chicago. And I just think the people here are really great. And we have so much comedy and we have so much theater, and it's just a really great artistic community and just a lovely place to live. The winters really suck. I'm sure you know, being in Detroit. Yeah, that the winters suck, and I wish we had LA weather, but other than that, I just love Chicago.
So, do you remember your first big audition? Was that in Chicago or was that somewhere else? Or
Yeah, so my first big audition actually came when I was still in college. A friend of mine had graduated the year prior and was working at Drury Lane Theater in Chicago, and he recommended me to the director. And so I auditioned for Fiddler on the Roof, and I booked the role as an ensemble, and we were supposed to start rehearsing like 3 days after my graduation. I was super excited about that. And then the girl who was playing Seidel got another job and accepted that. And then they called me and said, "Hey, how would you feel about playing Seidel?" So I was able to have like a pretty significant role in a professional show 3 days out of graduating college,
that's
which was just
awesome.
like amazing. And um was it was really a great experience. Again, everyone was just so, it was like a big family, and it was just a great experience to have right out of school, with a really great show and great cast. And it set my expectations high for how professional life was going to be.
Fun question.
Hmm.
Did you ever have a job outside of acting, or have you always straight up been acting?
Yeah, I've definitely had jobs outside of acting. I've been a server, I've been a nanny, I've just babysat. I now am a coach on the side of acting. And while like financially, I don't necessarily need it, it's something that I really love to do and I'm really passionate about, and either just as passionate or sometimes more passionate than being an actor. So I still do that on the side of acting, but I just, yeah, I love it so much. And it's helped me. I think being a coach has helped me be a better actor and have a better mindset when it comes to the business of it, where I get burnt out less and I have more confidence and stuff like that. But I've definitely had a bunch of jobs that I've hated to pay the bills. Been there, and who knows? You never know with this career. It's not linear.
So getting into Chicago Med,
Yeah,
so you might know it's one of my favorite shows.
I know.
Really.
Thank you for being a fan.
And every time I see you, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's Courtney. Every week. But so how long have you been on the show?
So, funny story, when you asked me about big auditions, like Chicago Fire was my first TV audition, and I booked it. So, Chicago Fire, that I think happened in like 2015, 15 or 16. I can't remember exactly, but a while ago. And it was a one line, one off. I like grabbed a baby and I said, got it. And I left. And it was as a paramedic, it was EMT number one. And then, like, I think a year later or something, I got a call from my agent saying, hey, Chicago PD is checking your availability for the role of a paramedic. Are you available? And I was like, whoa, I don't even have to audition? Cool. Um, so I booked that. And so I was on PD. And then I think I was on PD again as the same character. And then Chicago Med happened because, first was Chicago Fire, then PD. And at the time, I don't think Med was even a thing. And then when Chicago Med happened, they needed more and more paramedics on the show. And they just kept using me sort of like PD did without auditioning. And they kept bringing me back and bringing me back. And Michael Waxman, who was the executive producer of the show, now it's Michael Pressman, but Michael Waxman, when he was leaving, said that I was the first paramedic who got a name, and it was my name. And now most of the paramedics are named their own names. So, like, paramedic Caesar's real name is Caesar, paramedic Desmond's real name is Desmond. And so we all got our own names, but he said that I was the first one, which I thought was really fun.
So, what is it like being on the set? Is it like crazy all the time, or is it like chill?
Yeah, so an episode usually films for over the period of about 2 weeks. And when I come in, I'm there for a day or two, mostly a day, but if I have two scenes or a longer scene, I might be there for 2 days. And call time can range from any time till like 5 in the morning till 1 in the afternoon or something, like wherever that is. And then usually I'm there for about 3 to 6 hours, but there are days that I've been there 11, 15 hours for that one scene, which is really crazy because then you see it and you're like, you're on screen for literally 2 minutes. Like my grandma always says, like, I didn't even see you. It was like I blinked and I didn't see you. Thanks, Grandma. Um, but you're there for so long. But I'm really grateful. Just like my first show, Fiddler on the Roof, had just a really great cast and crew and just a lovely atmosphere. I feel like Chicago Med has the same thing where it feels like a family and everyone really gets along. And yeah, there are crazy days when people are yelling and like, things need to happen quickly and we're stressed out and all that stuff. But for the most part, everyone's just like on the same page and just really just great people. And so it's a nice atmosphere to be in. I've heard that not all sets are like that. So I'm grateful that this one is like that.
So, do you ever get to like hang out with the main characters like Taylor Kenny?
I don't think I've even met Taylor Kinney. But on Chicago Med, I've hung out with Marlene Barrett a few times. Like she hosted, not at her house, but at a restaurant, a New Year's Eve party that I went to. And yeah, just like not super often, just because I think like they have their own friends and I have my own friends. But I've got people's numbers in my phone that I can hit up if I wanted to. I've also taken class from Marlene, which has been really amazing. She teaches an awesome workshop and an awesome class that I've learned a lot from. And actually, I had her come in to SAG-AFTRA and be a guest teacher for a night and teach her technique. And that was really amazing. She did that. She volunteered to do that. So that was really cool that the people of SAG-AFTRA Chicago got to take a free class from a series regular on TV.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Switching gears, back to this crazy pandemic happening. How has that impacted you? Like, I know you said you're coaching online now, and you're not filming right now. How else has it affected your job?
Yeah, so I actually am on hold for a voiceover job, the first one. So I've been in the pandemic for what, like 2 months now, I think. And this is my first voiceover job that I'm on hold for. And I'll have to do it in my closet, in my bedroom. And I'm going to have to tell my neighbors, please be quiet. Because I don't have this huge soundproof studio that with like, the like I'm gonna have to tell my husband he needs to leave for an hour and give me the place and take the cat with him. Oh my God, what if my cat meows during this job? I didn't even think about that. Okay, but other than that, I am taking a class to work on my acting with Wendy Davis, and it's like you put yourself on tape, and then she shows everybody self tapes and critiques them, and we redo them, and then we have another scene that we're going to do. So each week we do two scenes, and then I'm also doing self tape May with Audrey. Audrey Helps Actors is a great podcast, and she's doing this thing. So I'm going to try to do 16 self tapes in the month of May.
Wow.
So I'm really working on my craft and practicing that. I am really focusing on life coaching a lot because I have the time. Whereas before, when I was busy doing a lot of voiceover jobs and a lot of Chicago Med episodes, I had to take a backseat with my life coaching stuff. So I'm really focusing on that. I'm creating a podcast called The Whole Artist with Courtney Rioux. So you'll have to listen when it comes out. And yeah, I feel like I'm really, really busy, even though we're supposed to just stay at home and do nothing.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah, even like just teaching my tap classes online, like it's like way more work than in person because you have to
Yeah.
be there the whole time, be aware.
Oh,
Um,
I can't even imagine what it's like to teach a tap class
yeah,
virtually.
it's interesting because everyone has to be muted so they can hear me, and so I
Yeah.
don't really get
But
to,
then you don't hear if they're doing it right or not.
and so they're just doing it, and I'm like,
You
hopefully,
just see their little feet like,
yeah, exactly. I'm getting a little more used to it now, but at first I was like, this is crazy. I can't
yeah.
do this. You have a different mindset when you're doing voice acting versus on camera acting?
um, I wouldn't say a different mindset. I would say there's different technique to it, if maybe that's what you mean by that. Well, like with voice acting, because you're not seeing it, you can do a little bit more. You can be more expressive with your voice and kind of like overact more. Whereas with on camera acting, you really have to tone it down and not do too much with your body, with your face. Like you don't have to be stone still, but like, if I did this, it would be too much, obviously, for on camera. But if I did that on voiceover, it would be fine. So it's just it's a different technique. So I guess, yeah, you have to get into a different mindset of that. And with on camera acting, sometimes I'll tell myself like it's okay to be boring because I'm afraid if I don't do enough, I'll be boring. But that's really not the case. So I kind of have to trick my brain into being like, yeah, shift into what you consider to be boring, but comes across nicely on camera.
That's what I always have a hard time with.
Yeah. You and I are the same. I mean, anybody who has a theater background is pretty much the same because with theater, it's all about the words. And with theater, you have to project to the back of the house and you have to be big and expressive so that people in the back of the house can see you. But with on camera, it's about the action and the silence and the listening in between the words that you say or on top of the words that you say. And it's the microphone is right here or it's right above your head so you don't have to project so far, and the lens is right here, so it's totally different. But when you're trained in theater, you sort of keep going back to your old habits and you really have to practice getting out of those old habits.
Do you have a preference on one versus the other, voice acting or on camera?
I used to have a preference. I used to like voiceover more, but the more and more I do on camera, the more confident I become in it. I don't I think I liked voice acting more because I had more success in it and like felt more confident in it. So, yeah, it's like they're kind of even now.
That's how I always say with singing and dancing. I'm like, they're even. People are like,
Yeah.
who do you like more?
I don't know.
Um, so between your acting and coaching and everything that you've talked about, do you have a hard time balancing your professional life with your personal life?
It is definitely something that I make a priority to have that balance. And like I think I've talked about this at Just West of Broadway, which is actually where Kelsey and I met. I don't know if you say that in your intro or not, but and it's something I talk about in my classes and in my coaching is I've turned down acting jobs because I have a vacation planned. And I know not everybody would do that, but traveling is really important to me. Spending time with my husband or my friends is really important to me. I wouldn't like say I have a coffee date with my friend tomorrow. No, I can't do that voiceover job, but I'll move the coffee date. But if it is something that is like a vacation that's been planned for a while and I'm just going to be out of town, I luckily have really supportive agents who are all for that. And like I was in Hawaii in February right before all this went down and got a pretty big audition and had to turn it down because I didn't have time while I was like taking a flight to another island, and I actually was doing a theater show in Hawaii. So I had the show that night and I was flying out the next morning, and I told my agent like, hey, I can't do this pilot audition. And I felt really guilty about it for like a month. And then I had a meeting with them, a Zoom meeting, and I was like, you guys, I feel really bad about like turning down that pilot audition. And they were like, oh my God, stop feeling bad about that right now. We haven't thought about it since. And guess what? That pilot was probably canceled because of COVID-19. So, like, stop feeling guilty about it. So, I'm really lucky that I have agents that support me in that, like making my family and making travel a priority. And like I work when I can work, and I have fun and travel and like hang out with my friends when I can do that. But it does make for a busy life when you do try to do it all. Um, but then I just try to listen to my body and rest when I need to rest. And especially now, like I get really tired. I don't know if you feel the same way, like especially after a virtual class, I just get so tired so easily. And I just have to listen to my body and cancel things when I need to cancel things, say no to things when I need to say no, and just rest.
Yeah, I take a nap every day.
Yeah, that's awesome. Naps are great.
Mondays are my nap days, so
Ooh,
all day
I love that.
on Monday. So I know you mentioned the online coaching and everything that you're doing right now. How would people be able to access that if they're interested in taking classes from you?
Yeah, so if you want to do my Zoom life coaching stuff, you can sign up at CourtneyRieux.com. And I'm sure you'll have that link in the show notes so I don't have to spell it. If you want to take an on camera or a voiceover class, that would be through the greenroomstudio.tv. And we have actually a really cool network through Mighty Networks that you can sign up for. And we're doing free webinars from casting directors and other people in the industry. And the webinars are really great. And yeah, they're Chicago based people, but I think that they are fitting for everyone. So that if you go to thegreenroom.mn.co, and that stands for Mighty Networks, MN, thegreenroom.mn.co, you can sign up for that network and you can get all of the free webinars or sign up for any of our virtual classes right now.
All right, awesome. Yeah, that's some great information because I totally know a couple people that would be totally interested in doing so.
Cool. Yeah, like I said, I had someone in my voiceover class from that I met at Just West of Broadway, so that was really cool. Yeah.
So, do you have any tips or anything for up and comers in the industry or people that are, inspired to start something in the industry like this?
Definitely. I would say people ask all the time, how do I get into the industry? How do I get an agent? How do I, do all these things? And the first thing that you need to do before any of that is to get good at your skills. And so I would say get into a class and learn the technique, because you might have natural talent, but there is a technique to everything. And so get in those classes, get really good at acting or dancing or singing or whatever it is that you want to do before you go and pursue it professionally.
To finish out here, where do you think you're going next? Do you have any goals, or things that you're pursuing right now? Yeah.
Yeah, I would say the thing that I'm working on in class right now is to have bigger TV roles. So whether that is guest stars on other shows or ultimately series regular, like that's the track that I am taking right now with, again, getting into classes and learning how to do that, learning the technique behind that, and then putting myself out there through my agent in that way. That's the goal there, and always just like booking more voiceover work because it definitely pays the bills and it's really fun.
Sure. Well, thank you so much for being with us today. I will
Thanks.
have all of those links here for everyone to click on and check out your website and everything like that. And yeah, thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me. It was really fun to see you and talk to you, Kelsey.
Thanks, you too.
Bye.
Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. That was an awesome interview, and I learned so much, and I hope you guys did too. Make sure to check out CourtneyRiioux.com, and you can sign up for her VIP updates and get all the updates on what she's doing next and where she's teaching and everything like that. I'll have the links tagged so you guys can check out all the things that she's teaching online and coaching and everything like that. Also, make sure to check out KelseyRoseRocks.com. I'm still having that huge sale, and things are being shipped out fast, so make sure to check out the website and check out the sales, and also sign up for my mailing list, and you can be informed when I'm doing any classes or Kelsey's Corners or anything like that. And yeah, until next time, see you guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Hey, what's going on?
I found these in her bag. It's not a brand I'm familiar with.
Got
Joy Billings, 44-year-old female, 000, GSW to the chest, 18-gauge IV in the right AC, no drugs given per protocol.
downtime.
Roughly 8 minutes.
What happened?
Watching TV with her kids, rival gangs start blasting at each other outside. Stray bullet ripped into the house.
Police get the shooters?
Yeah, buddies of the kid from this morning. Marco?
This is what I'm really excited about. Do you see his mustache? Hey, hi buddy. How's it going? You want some chips?
We'll talk over some chips and soda. How does that sound?
You mean pop?
Right. Pop.
It's pop.
Pop.
It's a brand new morning for breakfast with the Jimmy Dean Delights breadless egg witch. We got rid of the bread and replaced it with 2 egg frittatas for a protein-packed start to your day.
And that is something else. Kind of makes you hungry, don't it?